Good evening, you're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Harminder Singh. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Hundreds of thousands of people shrug off the heat to march and denounce proposed extradition law changes. Government loyalists declare support for controversial amendments on land and at sea. And demonstrators overseas lend support to Hong Kong protesters in more than 24 cities around the world. Hundreds of thousands of Hong Kongers were out in force in the sweltering heat this afternoon to show their disapproval of the extradition law amendment bill. Despite the protests beginning at 2:30 p.m., people are still marching, suggesting this could be the biggest mass demonstration since 2014's Occupy movement. HKIBC's Raymond Young is live outside the Legislative Council to give us the latest. Raymond.
So hi Harry, right now I'm outside the finishing point of the mass rally, which is the Legislative Council complex and the central government offices. So right now the crowds are slowly building up behind me and they are listening to speeches and singers singing on the stage. The organizers have asked people not to leave just yet, but for how long they will drag out this gathering, we have no idea as of now. So back to the mass rally this afternoon, it was largely peaceful, but police, as of 6 p.m. have announced they have arrested 7 people, 6 for criminal damage, theft and common assault, and another for assaulting police. So the organizers, the Civil Human Rights Front, have offered a legal assistance hotline for those interested. And for the turnout that everyone has been anticipating, police have announced that 153,000 people have left Victoria Park this afternoon. But the organizers, who usually come up with a much larger figure, have not announced their own version of the tally just yet. Police may have underestimated the sheer size of the rally as they were forced to open additional lanes to get the crowd moving. Michelle reports.
Hundreds of thousands of people braved the scorching heat as they started gathering in Victoria Park at around noon to register their discontent with the controversial extradition law amendments. The crowds that jammed the park were so huge that the organizers, the Civil Human Rights Front, started the march half an hour earlier at 2:30 p.m. Under sweltering conditions, the protesters, led by veteran Democrats, pan-democratic lawmakers, and democracy activists, began marching to government headquarters in Tamar. Their main message: dump the proposed amendments. Their main fear: political activists may be sent to the mainland where they could be persecuted.
I cannot expect anything, but at least we go out and we want to let her know. There are many people who object to the law and amendment.
It's outrage, or a bit shocked about what could actually become a law that would be very consequential. Well, being Canadian, few Canadians are actually held in Beijing, so a bit concerned about how far it could go.
Legislator Kwok Ka-ki, who rubbed shoulders with the marchers, was confident that the mega turnout would persuade the government to change its mind.
We have thousands of people coming here against the extradition law. I think the government can really have no choice but to retrieve this very evil bill.
The marchers held banners calling for the resignation of Lam, Secretary for Justice Teresa Chang, and Security Minister John Lee. Midway through the march route, some protesters, who were dissatisfied with police traffic arrangements, tried to break through a cordon in Causeway Bay. They demanded the opening up of more traffic lanes on Hennessy Road. A scuffle erupted, and at least one protester was pushed to the ground. The police unfurled a red flag, warning marchers to stop charging. All 6 lanes were eventually opened up 2 hours after the march began. With so many people waiting to set off from Victoria Park, the organizer had to speed up the march at the front. They have arrived at Admiralty just past 3:30. As the marchers arrived in Tamar, Organizers urged them to rehearse encircling the Legislative Council. The crowds were so immense that train services on the Island Line was disrupted as people struggled to get to Victoria Park while ordinary commuters tried to go elsewhere. Crowd control measures were introduced to deal with the sea of travelers. Following today's protest, the stage is set for more tensions when the amendment bill is debated in the legislature on Wednesday. Michelle Ng, HKIBC.
A small group of government allies, meanwhile, took to the streets and the sea in a bid to convince the public that the extradition amendments are necessary. And they claim that 700,000 people signed an online petition in support of the changes. Sammy Heung reports.
A number of trawlers set sail from Central Pier this afternoon, displaying banners that read, "Support legal amendments, keep us safe." The sea parade was organized by DAB lawmaker Stephen Ho, who represents the Agriculture and Fisheries Functional Constituency, as well as a fishermen's association. On land, representatives from a pro-government group gathered outside the chief executive's office in Tamar to show their support for the controversial bill. They handed a petition letter to Sonny Au, the Undersecretary for Security. Group convener Kennedy Wong said they had gathered more than 700,000 signatures online in favor of the bill. Wong said the extradition amendments are needed because they plug a legal loophole and prevent Hong Kong from becoming a haven for fugitives. Sammy Hearn, HKIBC.
Hong Kong's mammoth protest has triggered headlines around the world. There have also been demonstrations in more than 24 cities in support of the Hong Kong marchers. Grace Mao reports.